So I guess what is that? Like Saturday, it was Deion Sanders announced that he was leaving Jackson State. I don't know if it's Jackson State University. I think it's a university, and going over to the University of Colorado. For those who don't know, I guess I got to give you background. Deion Sanders is a football legend, a Hall of Famer, a two-time Super Bowl championship winner, genuinely the best person to ever play at his position, one of the top 5 players of all time at any position. He was so good, he played baseball too. So like there were some times where Deion Sanders would play a baseball game in the morning and then come and leave freaking and then go play a football game like in the same day. He also he kind of invented swag for a moment. Yeah, so Deion Sanders low-key invented swag. It's hard to explain. When I make this, I'll cut some images in and some videos. Like, he didn't invent swag, right? But like our modern, because like black men, I talked about the black man sexuality video. Black men have always had a cultural aesthetic that has, equated to what swag is or may have been, 50, 60 years ago, whatever. Going back to rock and roll, jazz, like that's always been something that we've connected to. But the modern culture around it, the big gold chain, sunglasses, Deion had the S curl. Like he's really a black masculinity icon. If you're my age, if you're a black male who's my age, you understand and know Deion Sanders for like all of those things, right? Really an icon. And I also appreciate, aside from I think one incident that was like left out, he hasn't been in a ton of trouble. Like I'm always crossing my fingers because he was a wild boy. So I'm always crossing my fingers that Deion Sanders don't have like no crazy shit pop up about him. Because he was a wild boy in the 90s and it ain't no telling what he might have got into, but knock on wood, he gonna keep a clean record. So but Deion has also always been black excellence. And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because I'm in this ongoing and it's developing. Like I'm seeing more and more black people talk about this like black excellence myth, where we are positioning the most talented black people to be these embodiments of black aspirational success and wealth. And this is what we gotta pursue. And this is what will lead us to, liberation and freedom as black people. Buy you some Bitcoin from Jay-Z, start you an LLC. Ladies, you gotta live a soft life. Men, you gotta be a high value man. Talented 10th type shit, Du Bois type shit. Thank you, Phone Iwalas. I may have said that. Phone Lawless. I fucks with Du Bois, but Du Bois has some L takes. All the scholars have L takes. And so the talented 10th concept did not hold up the scrutiny over time. That was Deion. You can go back to Deion's Hall of Fame speech. And this is when I probably first noticed it. In his Hall of Fame speech, he's talking about like, if I can do it, you can. You know what I'm saying? I did this, I did that. It was a low-key a bootstrap. It was an uncle pull yourself up by the bootstraps type speech. And so that's been his game for like the last decade or so, right? And so he took that game and he became the head coach of a small HBCU program. And he took that HBCU program that was, mid-level within its space. If you don't know what an HBCU is, is a historically black college. I went to an HBCU called Clark Atlanta University. It's a very close-knit, vibrant culture that people are always trying to take chunks out of. If I see another video on TikTok of white people swag surfing, I'm a fucking explode. We're small, Trey. I'm sorry. We're big among educated black folks, but among the culture and the community, we are niche. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody goes to college, and if you go to college, you may not have went to a black college. So I'm meandering. So I say all that to say he went to this school and he was very successful. And he went there kind of preaching the gospel of black excellence. He talked about how HBCUs weren't getting enough money. They weren't getting enough attention. They were selling themselves short in what they were doing. Just a lot of really good shit. And he brought major players, kids that would have went to a normal Alabama or Florida State or somewhere else. He did all of that and he got those players and got them to come to these HBCUs. And I think so then this Saturday, he left the HBCU to go to the University of Colorado, a classic PWI, a Major 5 college, but it's like, mid-tier at best. You know what I'm saying? And so people are really mad. People got really mad at him about that. And I found that really interesting because I was like, yeah, this is what he was gonna do the whole time. He told us this. In between the Black excellence mythology nonsense, he said over and over again, if the Power 5 comes calling, I'm gonna answer. There's insert video here.
If the phone rang before this mission was complete, if it was a call from the NFL or the Power 5.
I'm not going to the NFL.
So
by no means.
Only one you would answer would be the Power 5.
I would entertain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to. Going to the Power 5 don't change my lifestyle.
Right.
But guess what? It changes my coaches. I'm a moment kind of guy. I'm going to dominate this moment, man.
Understood.
Yeah, then I move on to the next moment. But right now, I'm going to dominate this thing.
And to me, it just really kind of like was an interesting like moment of observing how deeply ingrained that Black excellence myth is, that people were mad at Deion Sanders for doing exactly what Black excellence is supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like what this Black excellence mythology, the Black excellence mythology basically is, if we get enough money, if we use our buying power, we can create institutions and systems that will protect Black people from structural white supremacy and all the other bad things. That we just gotta all put our money in a Black bank, and we gotta buy from Black businesses and all that Killer Mike shit that is really revealing itself to be some bullshit now. And that is going to lead to liberation, because if we have buying power and economic power, that will lead to protection and freedom. And then those of us with power, the talented tip, we can use the money and capital that we've amassed from our own spending power to reinvest in Black communities and fix the problems that are there, right? And yes, Mr. Alekra points out that is something that happened over and over again from basically post-Reconstruction until the 1980s. And from post-Reconstruction until the 1980s, as soon as Black economic power began to emerge in the community, white people would burn the shit down. The ones everybody knows: Rosewood, Tulsa, East St. Louis, Move in Philadelphia. I always forget where Move is. And that was in the 80s. Move was in the 80s. This is well past, Martin Luther King and the civil rights era. And the move happened in the 80s. And those are like the ones everybody knows. There's so many we don't know, and then there's like another 50 or 60 that just never hit the they never hit the mainstream conversation. So historically, this Black excellence concept has always been a myth. One, because especially right now, even if Atlanta's the closest thing we got to that Black excellence mecca right now, right? Atlanta is a city where Black economic power is much more palatable and like visible, and like does have an effect on the city as a whole. We haven't had a white mayor in 30 years, maybe. There's Black businesses popping up everywhere. And Atlanta has old Black money. That's the thing that people don't understand, is that Atlanta's had money. I talked about that with Bellamy in the non-Atlanta video way back when, is that Atlanta isn't just athletes and reality TV stars. Like, Atlanta has old Black money from right around post-slavery. Niggas in Atlanta was getting money. So if there's any place that this Black excellence myth would be effective, it'd be Atlanta, but it's not. It doesn't work like that, because Deion Sanders to a lesser extent, but the Jay-Z's of the world, Killer Mike is becoming another one. He talks a good game in the music and doing songs with a dude from Rage Against the Machine, but when push comes to shove, Killer Mike has shown kind of where he's really aligned to. The black bourgeois always is more about class solidarity than racial solidarity. And so every time, thank you, in a society with political violence, if you're not raising up the working class, capitalists of any color will prey upon the community. And that's basically what it is. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of them. I went to school with some of them. It is what it is. And this is not to say like I'm not against black folks getting their money. I'm not against black folks getting their degrees and becoming successful, you know, buying you the shit you want to buy, taking care of your kids. I know I'm doing what I need to do to take care of my kids. But there is a threshold that always is reached between black folks that's just trying to do well and do better and niggas trying to get rich. And as soon as niggas start trying to get rich, they start acting like capitalists. They start acting like the same white folks that we be complaining about all the time. They just, they just try to position it. They try to color it with this black excellence veneer, this myth that me getting really rich is actually really good for the black community. Somehow, don't ask me how, don't ask for the receipts, don't ask for the details, you know what I'm saying? Don't ask for the statements, just trust me. If I get really rich as a black person, it's gonna help y'all, you know what I'm saying? But like what I'm saying, especially from my class position, right? Because I am I'm the child of two educated black folks with advanced degrees. I got my own advanced degree. My wife got an advanced degree. And before YouTube, we were making good money. We were definitely not struggling. But we weren't where I am from YouTube, but we were not struggling. And I'm surrounded by bougie black folks. And you can kind of tell the difference between those who have like truly like look at us. Look at us. Aren't we awesome? You know, you can tell. You can tell the type of black folks you don't really want their kids to play with your kids. Prosperity gospel, like all this stuff. And like I get it. So man, it's so deep. Shout out to again Pascal. I'm gonna forget his last name. I always do, but he does it. This is Revolution podcast. He has a couple of videos about this. Shout out to Jared Ball and I Mix What I Like, Black Power Media. He has a whole book about this. The way that the image of black success and progress has been like cultivated and shaped to consistently present this image of black excellence has been such a insidious weapon against like black progress, because it basically plucks the most talented black people out of our condition, and it gives them the tools to access success. They still experience racism, they still deal with a lot of bullshit, but they access success. Deion dealt with racism. He had the one situation where the dude kept calling him Deion.
Hey Deion, was just wondering if you could.
Hold on, let's back up a little bit. You don't call Nick Saban Nick. Don't call me Deion now. Okay.
I call Nick Saban Nick.
You don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a lie. If you call Nick Nick, you know you get cussed out on the spot. So don't do that to me. Treat me like Nick.
Okay, Deion.
Right.
Just
He was like, yo, call me Coach Sanders. And dude was like, thought he was being funny and called him Deion. It's like, you wouldn't do that to a white coach. And he wouldn't have. So like, and this is like, I'm really not mad at Deion. Like, I don't know why the only people are mad at Deion are people that are truly invested in this black excellence cookie. You know what I'm saying? The people who are truly, like, they truly believe that, and I get why, because the shit sucks, because shit is hard, because you're worried about taking care of your responsibilities. Like, I'm not trying to fundamentally poo-poo black success or high aspiration, but we don't have a good critical lens for it. Over and over again, we fall for this myth that rich niggas are gonna lead us to the promised land. And it's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Even if Deion would have stayed at Jackson State, and it would have been dope. I would have loved if Deion would have stayed at Jackson State and helped over time terraform black collegiate sports so that the black colleges could get the the lion's share of the money that goes into the NCAA and the TV deals, etc. Like that could have maybe happened. I doubt it, but it could have maybe happened. But the reality is he was going to make sure they benefited a little from his presence. He got to skip the line to be a coach, and both of them got what they wanted. If you look at the players are straight. They love Coach Deion, and they were like, "Deuces, I love you. Can I come?" Some of them. But black bourgeoisie people are really mad. You know what I'm saying? And the HBCUs are like a huge bastion for black capitalists because HBCUs do some of the best. They have I'm going to send my kids to an HBCU because HBCUs will take care of, generally speaking, will produce a better education for a young black person than the PWI. It'll be a better educational experience because they don't have to experience racism for 4 years, at least not at home. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure the full of this. If I get the overall scope of this statement, Emma M, access to capital and resources is what it is. And under capitalism, do what you have to do to get access to capital and resources for the sake of survival. Surviving is a radical act from my perspective, right? The problem from me, the way I look at it, and like I'm still evolving my views in this regard, but the problem I think we have is that we correlate access to capital and resources with community action and revolution. That we have Jay-Z saying capitalist is a slur. You know, we have this black like feudal class. I think somebody put it in the comments. Like black people serve as like feudal lords. Black capitalists, black political power brokers serve as feudal lords, where they basically wrangle the rest of the Negroes into useful bastions of power for predominantly the Democratic Party or neoliberal, political powers, and ensure that we never fall further. Like, man, when I get to in February, I'm dropping a black conservative, black leftist video, and I'm going to break it all down. But the short version is from the early 1900s to the 1960s, black socialist actions across the world, across diaspora, including many anti-colonial movements in Africa. Many were utilizing socialist ideologies to access and create revolutions which decolonized large parts of Africa. And once that was seen, the CIA, the Warren Court, not the Warren, what's the dude? McCarthy era and Nixon and COINTELPRO, like all of these entities coordinated essentially with the rest of the white world to quell that action everywhere, to subvert it everywhere, and to kill, jail, or exile any black or silence. Kill, jail, exile, or silence any black leftist thinkers and activists and icons that existed for about a 30-40 year period between the 1940s, 50s until the 1960s and 70s. And so we've been trying to do leftism without the core without the core proletariat class in this country, which is black people. Power Supreme Court, a bunch of stuff. I got to do all the research, but that's the gist of it. And so in order to hold that, in order for that to work, they had to get enough aspiring black capitalists, aspiring black elites to buy in to essentially selling out the rest of black people, to saying, we'll take care of y'all, we'll make sure y'all are okay. Some of them are okay, many of them are not. And y'all let us deal with these white folks, and then they reap most of the benefits. A lot of y'all parents and grandparents, they are the boule. If you are watching my video right now and your parents went to school, they went to college, they went to a Spelman, a Morehouse, a Howard, whatever, they are probably the boule. Ask them about why, what they thought about Kwame Ture after the civil rights movement and the Panthers broke down. Ask them about that. Bringing it back full circle, the end result is that you have like a black underclass that is just worrying about surviving. So they do see a Deion Sanders in athletics as aspirational, and that's useful for getting people through their day, giving them something to watch, something to believe in, etc. But then you have like the black bourgeoisie who are kind of just in this mediative space, where they make sure that black political action as a whole is beholden to essentially the Democratic Party and will never move further left, further into labor and workers-based political movements, because we trying to be rich. We trying to be black excellence. And so I guess they don't understand their own grift. The only thing I conceptualize is that the people that are mad at Deion Sanders don't understand their own grift that they're participating in. Because if you understand the grift that is black excellence, then you know that Deion, as soon as the right opportunity comes, was going to move into a white institution to get his money. And I'm not mad at him because that is the game. I'm more mad at Herschel Walker, right? I'm more mad at stuff that's more tangible. It's y'all see my black athletes video, the NCAA is already a problem.